Hey everyone, this is Turd Flinging Monkey.
I really don't want to do this one.
Now, a fair number of my subscribers are Muslim who come from traditional Muslim countries, and I appreciate their perspective on the issues that I talk about in my videos.
Well, here we are going to see the fundamental difference between an MRA and a MGTOW. An MRA would start talking about human rights abuses. They would discuss common misconceptions about how well men are doing in countries like this. And very likely might even go into very specific issues and how feminists just blatantly lie about them. For example, did you know that 40% of the victims of acid attacks are men? Yeah. Now, is this what Turd Flinging Monkey is going to talk about?
The issue at hand is I hear a lot of Muslims in my comment section talking about how the women in their countries are becoming just like Western women.
Okay, so that's the kind of topic that Turd Flinging Monkey talks about. Men going their own way do seem to spend a very large amount of their time talking about women and women and women. I'm just not even going to point out the irony there. I don't think it needs to be pointed out at this point. But his specific point here is that Western women are somehow universally bad, no specifics given. Middle Eastern Muslim women are somehow universally or at least generally better, no specifics given again. The Muslims are afraid that their women are going to become the monsters of the West. Because we know white people are evil. Has he gone full horseshoe at this point? But, I'm just going to cut out the bullshit straw man that he's somehow constructed. It's basically, he thinks that all Westerners blame the cultural Marxist Jews for women betraying men. It's a straw man that's so out there. It's just impossible to unpack without nothing but mockery. And this is the problem when you spend so much time in an echo chamber, is you forget what other people believe, and you start to just, form their beliefs around your construction, around your own ideology. And you just end up creating straw men, and then just knocking them down.
And it's a way of white knighting and taking the responsibility off of women.
Oh, that clip, I'm taking completely out of context because I'll need it for later.
No, women are what they've always been. And it doesn't matter whether they're white Western women, or black women, or Arab traditional Muslim women. Women the world over are the same.
No, they're not. There's a massive amount of variation between all women on the planet. They're mostly bell curves, and they're quite steep bell curves, so you get most around the average, but, well, there's still bell curves. It's not all women are exactly the same. When you've met one woman, you've met one woman. The fact I have to actually explain this is fucking worrying.
So how do you deal with women? All women, whether they're Muslim women, whether they're Western white women, whether they're black women, how do you deal with women? It's really not that complicated. I'm gonna tell you the secret to dealing with women. All you have to do, and this is top secret, this is the deepest, reddest pill of all.
And this is actually one of the things that I like about the red pill analogy, actually, is, when the Matrix movies were made, there was never any confirmation that when they took the red pills, they actually left the Matrix. As far as they knew, they were actually still in it. And there was actually evidence to suggest that they were still in the Matrix. For example, when people were getting killed inside the Matrix, somehow that managed to cause them to cough up blood in the real world. Neo had powers outside of the Matrix, and like Agent Smith had powers outside the Matrix and shit as well. So, I mean, it does kind of make sense that they don't actually leave. I mean, if you're a robot overlord, and you find that a 10% of your human subjects end up rejecting a simulation, well, you're not gonna just accept them as a 10% that reject your simulation. What you might actually do is convince that 10% that they have rejected the simulation, but keep them inside it. And, well, Turd-flinging Monkey is one of these people that thinks he's left the simulation, but is still inside it. He's still in the Matrix. He's still believing the lie. And I will show you exactly what I mean.
To understand women and how to deal with them, you just have to think of them as giant, fuckable children with tits.
Okay, the phrase fuckable children used unironically. Now I know why you're so fond of Muslims.
And what I mean by that is you think about how you would deal with a child in this incident. And that is how you deal with women. You just treat them like children, because that's really what they are.
Well, the thing is, in most societies, people consider children less capable. Less capable of a lot of different tasks. Mostly because they actually are physiologically incapable of tasks that a lot of adults are capable of. But also because, well, they just haven't had enough experience yet. They haven't had, they haven't gone through certain hoops that other adults have gone through. So, what we end up doing is, because we consider them less capable of tasks, we don't give them as much responsibility. And, well, that's kind of how traditionalists treat women.
It's a way of white knighting and taking the responsibility off of women.
Well said. That Turd-flinging Monkey kind of makes sense now. I mean, I had to kind of take you massively out of context, but now he makes sense. Well, I mean, let's just forget about what treat them like children actually even means. Maybe you'll clarify this, but, well, you treat children of different ages differently. You even treat different children differently. So, you haven't really solved the problem. You've just given some very vague advice that kind of sounds specific.
For example, let's say you brought your children up in a very traditional, God-fearing household, and then you sent them to public school, and they learned a bunch of bad habits from the kids at public school.
Bad habits like atheism, coming out as gay, playing video games. Because this is the kind of shit that traditional God-fearing households consider bad habits. Or have you forgotten that?
What is the solution to that problem? Is the solution to go to war against the school and abolish public school and mandate that all parents homeschool their kids?
Go to war? Wait, what kind of Muslims are you talking to? Because, in that analogy, the school, I'm guessing, is the West. You're talking to fucking jihadis. And you think that they have some kind of... you think they have any grip on reality? Even their perception of women. I'm genuinely just worried now.
That seems like a little extreme. That's not the solution. That's not actually going to fix the problem.
What problem? You haven't actually specified anything, and this is a thing that ideologues do, but I've noticed it especially in MGTOW circles, is they use extremely vague terminology, not only because it sounds simple and straightforward, and therefore easy to digest, but you can also sort of project your own specific ideology onto this terminology. And in this case, in certain cases, what this does is it has a bunch of people who don't actually agree on much, all sounding like they agree with each other. So, you can have 3 different MGTOWs, And they all hear the words, "NWALT is bullshit." Now, NWALT is an acronym meaning not all women are like that. So, one MGTOW thinks, that's a refutation of the idea that there's a few women out there who aren't going to divorce you, and therefore you should go and get married, or something like that. And they think that even if not all women are going to divorce you or something, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good idea to go and get married. Fair enough. Then you have MGTOW number 2, who thinks that this is, it's bullshit, that all women, narcissistic gold diggers, who are incapable of human emotion. There are... Turd Monkey doesn't believe that any individual woman is capable of the human emotion of love. So, just to get an understanding of the kind of individual we're dealing with here. And the third kind of MGTOW is another crazy type, is they actually have what they call a NWALT, which is a woman who isn't like that. And they basically create this unrealistic standard of how a woman's supposed to behave, that she can't have, any flaws associated with femininity. And, they say, there's no woman out there that actually meets this standard. And it's like, never nags and never complains, and it's crazy. And all of these three concepts can all be summed up in NWALT is bullshit. But they're all completely different concepts. And that's a really interesting thing you can find in ideologies, is that you just project these different kinds of ideologues, different flavors of ideologue, will then project their own understanding of the ideology. You get a similar thing with hypergamy. Some MGTOWs will have a very strict definition of hypergamy, and that will be access to resources. Others will, expand the definition of resources to the point where any positive attribute can be considered resources. And in other cases, they will say those other positive attributes don't actually matter, or that they're just this will get you more resources in the long run, or something like that. So, it's a very sinister thing about ideologies, is that they are very good at making you sound louder than you actually are.
The problem with women is men have abdicated their authority over them.
Okay, so you've perceived, rightly or wrongly, that women have bad habits. That they've picked up some bad habits over the past 50, 100 years. And so women are performing actions in your mind. What's your response to this? Blame men. That this is men's fault, and men only should work to solve this.
It's a way of white knighting and taking the responsibility off of women.
Okay, so female supremacists, when they see women doing bad things, they refuse to accept that women are responsible in that case, and blame men, and tell men to fix it. Male supremacists, like Turd Monkey here, when they see women doing bad things, or perceive women to be doing bad things, they refuse to accept that the women are responsible, and blame men, and tell men to fix it. You see, this is what I mean about the whole red pill not taking you out of the matrix.
It's not Western society, it's not TV, and neither is it cultural Marxism and Jews and whatever thing you're blaming on the behavior of women. Stop it.
Stop it. Stop with your kind of gender-neutral scapegoats. What we should do is we should blame men for women's actions. Because that solves the problem of women having no responsibility.
Women are doing what they're doing.
Doing what they are doing. The less you say, the less controversial you are, the more people think they agree with you.
Because men do not have authority over them.
Women misbehaving? Men's fault.
And Muslims, you should be all over this. I mean, you guys are supposed to be super religious and you have the Quran. I'm pretty sure Allah told you guys to take control of your women, so what the fuck?
Yeah. It's almost like you're talking shit.
Last year, the King of Saudi Arabia started allowing women to vote in local elections. This is a very slippery slope.
To what?
Once women vote, you have passed the point of no return. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. You are fucked.
Yeah, I know. Men in the Middle East are doing so fucking great. Honestly.
Once women can vote, you're done. You can't undo anything once women get their foot in the door because they're half the population.
What do you actually want to undo? You haven't said anything in this entire video.
Now let's address the elephant in the room. Sometimes you have to spank your kids. I look at it as an issue of escalating force. Like when you lay the authority down and you say you will do this because I'm your father and you're going to listen to me, and the kid says no, and they start hitting you, at some point, when words fail, you need to establish the fact in their mind that you are much stronger than them, and you will be obeyed. Now, how do you communicate the fact that you're much stronger than them and that you will be obeyed when all else has failed? I can't think of too many ways that don't involve a little bit of pain.
Okay. He's advocating domestic violence. Using hitting your children as a prime example of how parenting should go.
Just a little bit. I'm not saying beat the living shit out of your kids.
Oh, it's not radical domestic violence, it's just moderate domestic violence, and that makes it okay somehow.
Just let them know, I am twice your size. I will knock you the fuck out if you don't listen to me.
Control your loved ones through fear. Do you even realize what you're advocating?
I see people in my comment section saying I'm a Muslim and I don't like what happened in Saudi Arabia, and I think, women shouldn't have to do that, and I believe in equality and blah blah blah. And I just shake my head. Cause it's guys like that who are gonna fuck it up. They're gonna fuck over the Muslim world the way the same simps and manginas in the West fucked up the West. This total bullshit about equality, it fucks everything up.
Do you think we've reached equality? What?
Now just imagine if we made children and adults legally equal.
But you do realize men and women aren't legally equal. You do understand that, right?
It would fuck the entire society up. You'd have children dictating to the government what kind of laws get passed. So you can imagine things like no naps, no brushing teeth, free candy, stupid laws. And because children don't understand what the fuck they're doing, they're just voting based on what they want at the moment.
Yeah, because they haven't gone through the education system and they haven't accrued enough experiences to have an understanding of the world. But last I checked, an 18-year-old woman has existed on Earth for the exact same amount of time as an 18-year-old man.
See, unlike men, women do not have any power to enforce their will on men.
Women don't have power to enforce their will on men. Are you a MGTOW or a feminist?
If women got together and said, all right, girls, we're going to band together and, okay, boys, you're going to do what we want because we're the women and we control vaginas and you're going to do what we want. The men can easily say, no, fuck you. We're bigger and stronger than you. We don't have to do shit.
Yeah, but it's clearly not easy for men to say that. Otherwise, they would have.
There's nothing they can do about it. I mean, they can say, well, we're not going to have sex with you. You want to bet? Honestly, there's really nothing a woman can do to stop a man from raping her.
That got dark very quickly.
If he really wants to, there's not shit she can do about it.
Shoot him? Stab him? Kick him in the balls?
So women have absolutely no power over men. It's a way of white knighting and taking the responsibility off of women. Absolutely no power over taking the responsibility off of. Absolutely no power over responsibility. Power over responsibility. Power over responsibility.
One cannot exist without the other.